I'm really curious to hear some of your thoughts and experiences around pride. I did a CEU course this past weekend and we were working with shame and just really kind of like sifting shame out of our nervous system. And the way we do this work is through titration. So not getting too far into it, but like touching the outer edges of it and coming back into safety when it becomes a little like over arousing. And our anchor safety experience was pride. So we kind of moved through pulling up an experience where we felt really proud so that we could return back to that if the shame experience got to be too much. But for me, when I experience pride, I experience shame simultaneously. I grew up in a cult where pride was a sin, it was shameful. And so every time I felt any kind of sense of pride, I would also feel equal or greater amounts of shame. And anytime I shared something I was proud of, specifically with my family members, I was met by being shamed. And I understand at this point that they also had this coupling and might have even been doing it in like some kind of subconscious altruistic way, because if they're seeing me, experiencing pride, then I'm sinning and therefore going to hell, right? And so, yeah, all that. But this exercise was really interesting for me because I've really unpacked the majority of my shameful experiences, like the experiences that really induce shame. I've used to live in like toxic shame every single day. And now if ever I encounter shame, I'm like taken aback about like how intense that experience is and how I used to live and breathe that every single day. I don't know how that was possible. So during this exercise, when I was tapping into shame, it wasn't these like big experiences because I've really worked through those. It was like the underlying shame that I lived with every single day. Like we were shamed for having bodily function, shame for having curiosity outside of what was deemed appropriate by the cult, and shamed for speaking, talking, expressing, like literally fucking everything. Like you name it, it was shameful. And then add on top of that, growing up neurodivergent and queer. But the time I felt the most shame in that exercise was when I was tapping into the experience of pride. A question to always ask after a traumatic experience or period of time in life that was traumatizing is, how did you know it was over? And I got to feel the embodied experience of that time in my life being completely over, and the acknowledgement that that shame was never mine to begin with.